I'm gonna wait until I get some people back in here, and we are mobile this time. Never using my laptop for this shit again. Alright, I'm just gonna wait a second, get some people back. Ah, man. Oh, shit. Harry, I'm gonna let the folks know in the chat that I'm back. I don't know what happened. Give it a second for folks to get back on. Messed up what was supposed to be a great live. Give it about 2 more minutes, y'all. And then we're going to hop back into the flow. You're my lady. 7:40, we're going to get back into it. You're my lady. You're my lady. You're my lady. Boom, 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 boom. Where everybody at? Tell folks to hop back in, because I know we have more than 3 people. While I'm waiting, go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the channel, do what you do. Everybody back. This is the second video. Yes, this is the second video. You're my lady. You're my lady. You're my lady. Oh, you're my girl. Oh, all right. We're going to hop back into it. I'm assuming that I put it in the Discord. I put it on the actual first video. I don't know how else to let you know on a different live, but here we are. So, again, let me know if the connection is slow, if I'm choppy, if you can't hear me, whatever the case may be. Put it in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to assume all is well. So, we're just going to hit reset real quick, all right? Quick summary of where I left off. Particular owner in retroactive green is under investigation currently for an attempted rape of a minor owner. And what was discovered along in this investigation was evidence of other connected, suspicious, dangerous behavior. So in the first live before Facebook did what it does, it was just be stupid, I defined statutory rape. I will repeat that definition for this video in case it becomes its own video. Statutory rape, the key word is statutory, because we all think of rape one way. Statutory rape is non-forcible, meaning without force, non-forcible sexual activity in which one of the individuals is below the age of consent, i.e., the age that is required to legally consent to the behavior. All right? And what I did was I said, let's take that away from the definition we know, and let's make it applicable to rap. Let's make it applicable to retroactive fantasy football. All right? So we're going to replace the word sexual with the word trade. All right? And then I'll repeat the definition to you. Statutory rape in the context of retroactive fantasy football is non-forcible trade activity in which one of the individuals is below the age of consent, i.e., the age required to legally consent to the behavior. This is what I was getting at. I read the trades off to y'all. I said, close your eyes and imagine a Breece Hall who's been struggling in New York since he hasn't had competent quarterback play and offensive support. And he had a super talent. He is super talented. He had a super promising rookie year, and ever since then it's been muddy water. Imagine him and the way the Jets have been playing this season, going along with Chris Olave, who is another talented Ohio State receiver, kind of soft to me, but productive, talented is objectively, you can't deny it. But he's with the Saints offense that's hit or miss, so his performance has been hit or miss. Two highly talented players, if I'm not mistaken, 2 first-round picks. I might be wrong on Breece, I don't remember. But 2 highly talented guys that have been inconsistent and are in bad offenses, trading them away to a 1-6 owner who don't know left from right, don't know up from down, never did IDP before, and he has one piece that the 6-1 owner desired. He just wanted one thing. That's what it always is. He just wanted the one thing. In this case, it was Jahmyr Gibbs. And I said, I want to know what y'all thoughts are. I didn't see no comments about y'all perspective or y'all thoughts on that. I gave time. Maybe Facebook was tracking my eye movement or something, and they were like, oh, he's not live anymore. Shut it down. I don't know. Fuck Facebook at this point. I really don't. I'm tired of Facebook. I really am. But y'all tell me what y'all think about that offer. Breece Hall and Chris Olave for Jahmyr Gibbs. While you're thinking on that, and this is where I left off, that was the second trade attempt that this owner made in green. The first trade attempt that he made was Kendrick Bourne, Pete Werner, and Derek Brown, trading those guys away for DK Metcalf. Now that one I was kind of like, Kendrick Bourne has helped out Mac Jones during this spell with Ricky Pearsall hurt and Jawan Jennings being hurt, Demarcus Robinson up and down. They signed Kendrick Bourne back to the roster to help out, and he's had some good performances. As I look, he had a 21-point performance, week 5, 10 catches, 142 yards. Week 6, he had 5 catches for the same 142 yards. So he had 2 weeks where it was like, okay, well, it makes sense. Kendrick Bourne on a roster in fantasy makes sense. Ayuk is still out for however long. Pearsall's been in and out. It's too much uncertainty. You got a veteran who can produce like that. Cool. Last week, he had 2 catches for 14 yards. So it's clearly about to change. The usage and the production. Nevertheless, he was included in this trade for DK Metcalf, along with Pete Werner, quality starting linebacker, and Derek Brown, who was waiver fodder, let's be honest. Pre-injury Derek Brown is not post-injury Derek Brown. He is number 5 in fantasy off of 1 week of play. And that was this past week. He had 25 points, 2 sacks. Could that be the trend for the rest of the season? Could be. Not something I would want to lose a solid, consistent starting receiver banking on. And also the owner that received this trade offer and accepted this trade offer was 2-5. 1-6, 2-5. A 6-1 owner trading with a 1-6 owner and a 2-5 owner. You get what you picking up what I'm putting down? Statutory. Y'all not gonna put what y'all comments are, what y'all thoughts are, that's fine. It is what it is. So what I ended up doing in Retroactive Green today was making retroactive fantasy football history. I made the executive decision to veto that second trade. In rap, and that's what we're talking about right now is rap. We're talking about rap, just to be clear. Might have not been clear in the other video, but we're not talking about green just for the sake of talking about green. It is applicable to what has happened and what's happening in rap. Those 2 trades were both, in my opinion, statutorial. Add that to your lexicon. Those are both statutorial trades. But that second trade involving Jahmyr Gibbs, that was just too much. So I made the executive decision to veto the trade. I wanted to be like, man, leave it up to the people. Trust the democratic process. Ipso facto, XYZ. What I've always done. And then the more I looked at it and thought about it, because I didn't want to wait too long, I did want to give them an opportunity to try to get another deal done since it was so close to the deadline at noon. I said, let me not think too long. Let me just go with the conviction that I have, and it was to cancel that trade. Why? Again, Breece Hall and Chris Olave are highly talented players in highly inconsistent / bad offenses. So yes, you could get 20 points a given week from Breece. He's got 3 close to 15-point performances in 7 weeks. 3. You can get some 15-point plus performances from Chris Olave. He's had 1 of those in 7 weeks. That was this past week. But we know that we're going to get 15 plus point performances from Jahmyr Gibbs. He has 5 of them in 7 weeks. Only 1 week did he have less than double digits. We know that that's his baseline. So the ceiling for 2 players this ceiling, the ceiling for 2 players this season versus the floor for the 1 player you're getting in return. And that player can go beyond that floor to his own ceiling of what he did this past week. 42 points. 17 carries, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. 3 catches for 82 yards. No. So, first time ever, I said, you know what? I'm going to use my executive veto power and we're going to shut that down. Another reason why, other than that disparity with the actual players and the involved components of the trade, you're taking advantage of 2 rookie owners. No. Not happening. 2 rookie owners that don't communicate, so they really ain't, I don't know what they learning, I don't know what they know or don't know, I don't know what they value or what they understand. I can't even get in contact with them to know what it is, you get what I'm saying, or assess what it is that makes sense to them. I did get one in the DM of the 2 after the trade was canceled, and he was like, bro, thank you. I didn't know. Simple as that. I didn't even know that. Oh, okay. I didn't know. That's all he said. And I was so mad at him that I didn't say nothing else. But then I had to think about it. I was like, he don't know because he's young. In the fantasy football world, he's underage. He's a minor who a veteran owner, a champion owner, try to take advantage of. Statutorial. So that was what happened with Green. Flip over to Rap. And this is just how we're going to get into this door tonight. Because so much has happened. And now we're going to talk about how a lot of y'all in Rap are complicit. Let's look that word up, all right? I'm going to take y'all back to school tonight. All right? These are, I mean, they might be college level words, but these are words that you should know in 2025. All right, let's look up the word complicit and see what that means. Complicit, associated with or participating in a questionable act or crime. I'll say that one more time. Associated with or participating in a questionable act or crime. Having complicity. Especially one of a questionable nature. All right? You don't necessarily have to do the negative or questionable thing to be complicit in the questionable act. Right? I'm looking at these trades. I went back to the beginning of the month pretty much. October 7th. Yep, that was the beginning of this. Not literally the exact date that a lot of this began. We're going to go back. And I'm watching y'all who are commenting in the chat who had issues with 2018. I just want y'all to keep that year in mind. A lot of y'all who are commenting what y'all commenting tonight, keep in mind 2018. And we're going to get back to that. October 7th, this same owner who attempted this malicious behavior in Green, he started that behavior here in Rap. He traded. Now, this is less statutorial. All right. This is not, this activity over here, this is consensual. This has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do with inexperience. This is that's what this is. This that I'm about to read to you, this is just, I'm just gonna, hey, back arched and everything. Just giving it up. So this is different. But it's still indicative of questionable behavior or crime. Remember that definition of complicit. It's still indicative of questionable behavior or crime. The difference is, even though this is legal and it's consensual, there are many complicit parties to this questionable behavior. Many people who are part of the crime, who contributed to the crime. We'll start here. October 7th. A trade between said owner and another owner who at the time was what? Let me look up I want to get the record right. You see what the schedule, what the record was. October 7th was what, like week 5? We're in week 8 now. That was, correct me if I'm wrong. We're reviewing week 7, but we're going into week 8. What was October 7th? October 7th was what week? I'm guessing that was week 5. No. Am I tripping? October 7th was the end of week 5 going into week 6. Okay. End of week 5 going into week 6. This owner who participated in this trade with the perp had just lost his 3rd game in a row. All right? He started off winning 2 games with a 217, a 235. Nothing too impressive. Some fortunate wins, to be honest. And then he proceeded to lose 3 straight games. 235, a 169, and a 221. So he was clearly concerned about his roster. He was in desperate need of improving his roster. Desperate times call for desperate measures. So this owner said, you know what? My roster ain't cutting it. I can't draft for shit. I don't pay attention. I don't know what's going on. I used to be a great owner. I suck now. Take it. Here you go. And he decided to give away Jonathan Taylor, who is currently the #1 running back in fantasy, for Cooper Kupp, Kenneth Walker III, and guess what? That name that came back up from Green. Breece Hall. Go figure. And Kyle Pitts. We'll throw Kyle Pitts in there too. And oh yeah, this owner who gave it up, he got Isaac Tesla, and he gave up Isaac Tesla and Mark Andrews. So he got some he got some pieces of candy in return. You know, we'll call it that. He got some candy in return. You know, he got paid. You know, he gave up a lot. He gave up a lot. You know, dignity, pride, you know. He gave up a lot. But he got some candy in return. He got some nice pieces of candy. Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, Cooper Kupp. Not Triple Crown Cooper Kupp. 2025 Cooper Kupp. And Kyle Pitts, he's improved from how bad he's been in previous years. But again, inconsistent. He had 1 double-digit game all season. Jonathan Taylor, out of there. Add Jonathan Taylor to this glove. All right? Stone #1. We're going to move on. He did this perp, he did another moderate trade. Not a really big deal. Kind of flew under the radar, but it was a setup trade. It was just a, okay, I can do that. Okay, let me see what else I can do. So he traded away D. Winters, or traded away Buda Baker, and he got D. Winters and Jalen Hawkins. Basically got two pieces for one, right? Buda Baker, long been one of the top DBs in fantasy football. This season, that hasn't been the case. He's still top 20, but he wasn't worth what that owner gave him. He wasn't. Kind of got other trade bait, right? So this owner gave some candy to the first owner that he took advantage of. Just gave him some candy, and then he re-upped on the candy from this owner. It's like, okay, I'm going to flip this candy now. I'm going to do it again. And he went right back into it. Now, is this all the same owner? Oh, that's what it is. Let me go to his team specifically. I don't want to look at nobody else's trades right now. Clear out. We're just looking at his trades. All right. So he waited a week. He laid low. He was like, you know what? That got a little heat. People spoke out against that. They didn't like that. They questioned that. It was questionable behavior. There's questions about whether that was a crime or not, and whether that losing owner was complicit in the crime. So he laid low. He said, let me fall back. He wanted to be a nice guy about it. He didn't want to cause a ruckus. So he waited a week. Then he popped back out the next week. He traded away Nick Cross, who, if I'm not mistaken, number two, safety in fantasy. Mark Andrews, Jalen Warren, and Jalen Thompson. This wasn't no candy. This was like chocolate. All right, candy's a little cheaper, a little more accessible. This time he upped the, you know what I mean? He said, you know what? I'm gonna treat you a little better. I'm gonna treat you a little better than I treated the last guy. I'm gonna give you a little more dignity. So instead of candy, I'm gonna give you chocolate. You know, I normally don't give the people I deal with chocolate. I normally just give them candy. Like, ain't nobody really been worth it like that. You feel me? Yeah, they ain't never really been worth it like that. But you special. Yeah, you special. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give you some chocolate. That's what I'm going to give you. I'm going to throw you a Nick Cross. You know what I'm saying? I know that's your language right there. You really like DB. So I'm going to give you Nick Cross. And then I'm going to give you Jalen Thompson too. You feel me? Yeah. Yeah, what you like that? You like that? Start talking mad crazy shit to him. Crazy shit. Speaking his language. And the whole time in return, he gets Malachi Starks, Jalen Petrie, Jake Ferguson, and Tony Pollard. Another one. Highly consistent pieces with some for some volatile pieces. The number one tight end in fantasy. A 13th ranked corner and a top ranked safety. And a top ranked running back. All consistent pieces for some chocolate. It wasn't candy this time. He leveled up. He said, I'm going to treat him a little more special because he probably heard about what I did with the last one. He probably heard what I did. So I want him to know, like, this ain't that. So I'm going to give him a little bit more this time. Threw some chocolate at him. And this owner took it. This is one of the most winningest owners in the history of rap that he traded with this time. So it wasn't no rookie. It wasn't no losing owner. It wasn't nobody with a history of losing. It was somebody that's very knowledgeable of the game of football. Very knowledgeable of fantasy football. You would think. He actually did his own live recently talking about how smart he was with fantasy football. And how good he was. And his strategies and just the things that we should know that he knows that got him to the place that he's at. And he let us know that, you know, the chocolate was worth what he did. So much so that that wasn't his last time trying to get some chocolate. But before this perp went back to that guy and got him again, he did a buddy trade. Now this is one where, you know, this guy got jealous. You know what I'm saying? He got jealous. He heard about what happened with the chocolate, with the DBs, and the special treatment. And he was like, oh, wait a second. I thought I was special. I thought I was the one that you looked at and, you know, gave a special treatment to. I thought that was me. Why you ain't treat me? Why you ain't? I thought we was really cool. I thought we was close. You brought me into this thing. You introduced me to this life. And then you gonna give this dude, you gonna give him something that you ain't. What's up? I thought what happened? And the perp start rubbing his chin like this. He like, you know what? You right. You know, I owe you better than that. I owe you better than that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to trade you, because you said that, I'm going to trade you Quay Walker and that Kendrick Bourne I was talking about earlier. Remember that guy in green? The trade bait that I was talking about in green? Like Breece Hall in green? Kendrick Bourne in green? Did the same thing in rap before he did it in green? This is the instance. He's like, I'll throw you Kendrick Bourne and Quay Walker. I'll give you that. All you gotta do, since you my homie, you my guy for real. All you gotta do is just give me DK Metcalf. Just give me DK. That's all you gotta give me. 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 Just give me DK Metcalf, and I'll slide you. I'll slide you Quay Walker and Kendrick Bourne. You know, on the strength, on the love. And this owner felt so special, the way that he used to feeling, like he had reclaimed his spot. He was like, you got it. DK is yours. DK is yours. Thank you. Thank you for Quay. DK is yours. And the perp just said, okay. Jonathan Taylor, DK Metcalf. Now he on a tear. He on a run now. He on a run. This time he didn't wait. He didn't take a week off. He's like, man, I done got away with this. I ain't seen no vetoes. I ain't heard no sirens. Ain't been no reprimand. Ain't been no consequences. What I'm gonna wait another week for? The deadline coming up. I'm about to run it now. He said, okay, I'm off of that now. Let me go holler back at my first one, who really was the special one. I done made my close one. I done made them feel special enough to just kind of keep them off me for a second. I didn't, you know, let me just give you Quay Walker so you feel special for a second. But now I'm gonna go back to my first one, who was really special for real, or my second one. But the first one, I just treated them. The first one, he just gave some candy and said, "Get out my face." That wasn't special at all. But the second one, he made feel special with the chocolate, with the Nick Cross and the Jalen Thompson and all that. He said, "Oh, let me go back to that. I need some more of that, because I know it's some more over there I can get out of that. I need to get some more of that." He go back a day later. He like, "Oh, you still like linebackers, huh? That's your language. That's still your thing." Okay, it ain't. He ain't treating them special no more, because he done already got what he wanted. So now it's just like, well, let me see what else I can get. I ain't about to keep acting for you. I ain't about to keep putting on a show for you. Take Alex Singleton and Kayshon Boutte and let me get Chris Olave. Hurry up. Let's go. Yeah. All that high, linebacker, DB, strategy, defense, whatever. Yeah, go ahead and take these defensive pieces and Kayshon and give me Chris Olave. Come on. Let's go. And now this owner was like, dang, but you treated me so tenderly the first time. There was so much care involved. It was a 4 for 4. And now it's just a 2 for 2. And I don't know about these pieces, but I just remember when you treated me special. I do need what you're offering, but it's just how you're offering it. I don't. Okay. Chris Olave is yours. Thank you for Alex Singleton and Kayshon Boutte. It didn't feel the same, but it was still the same result. It was still that complicity of like, oh, I'm gonna still give you what you want, and I can see what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to do doesn't really involve me or my success. You're giving me the impression, and you're making me think that it involves my ultimate success and ultimate destination, but really it's all about you. It's really just all about what you're doing, because you just got that third stone and you just dropped it in there right there. You got Jonathan Taylor, you got DK Metcalf, and you got Chris Olave. Minimal, if no resistance. And then when you look at the totality of the roster, if I can get that pulled up. This is the time that you said you wanted to give into this, by the way. You wanted it, you got it. If you look at the totality of the roster, after this core group of trades has gone through, you have 4 top 5 players in the league at their positions on the same offense. 5 top 10 players on the same offense. 6 top 15 players and 7 top 20 players in fantasy football at different positions. 7 top 20 guys on the same offense. And 4 of them are top 5. Justin Herbert, CMC, Jonathan Taylor, Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf, Jake Ferguson, Tony Pollard, Chris Olave. I'm open for anybody to tell me a better offense than rap right now. Tell me. Just tell me. Oh, yeah. I almost forgot. I'm glad I scrolled down real quick. That's not even mentioning that wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville. Didn't even mention him. Not even mentioning the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville. The ranking, he's number 17. Matter of fact, so he's top 22. So that's 9 top 20 offensive players on the same offense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 top 20 players on the same fantasy football offense. Y'all just let me know who has a better offense. And then when y'all let me know who has a better offense, also let me know if you were one of the ones complicit in this questionable and or criminal behavior. Because we've seen it before. For those who have not been in rap for that long, I'm going to take you back to 2018. I really wish I could pull up more information. But ESPN, after a certain point, they delete information or archive it or whatever. Take you back to 2018. Where an owner who won a championship did a similar thing. And this is going to lead into so much other. I ain't even looked at my notes. Matter of fact, let me just pull that roster up. Let me see if I can do that. I already read y'all the names of this owner's roster. Who shall remain nameless? We know who we're talking about. It's all in fun. 2018. The good old days. There was an owner who won a championship against the perk that I'm talking about. Might have a lot to do with this reinforced behavior. You know, once you've experienced it, it's easy to replicate it. But I digress. This owner in 2018, different owner, won a championship with a very, very similar strategy. I'm trying to see if these same names were on the roster during the championship week. Total points scored: Saquon Barkley, Stone, Antonio Brown, definitely a Stone during that era. I think that was the year before it was the year before he screwed me with the Raiders. Nick Chubb, Stone. Is this ain't the season I'm thinking about? Nah, this ain't it. This couldn't have been it. Not 2018. 2020. I stand corrected. Let me go to 2020. Not 2018 I'm talking about. I'm talking about 2020. I'm like, them names in that don't look right. That's still a good roster, but that's a whole other can of worms. Let's go to 2020. And see if I recognize a little more. There we go. Patrick Mahomes. Now here's a guy. Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce. Let's just look at the rankings. I'm not even gonna look at the points. Look at the rankings. You happen to have Young Wei Koo at that time, number 2 in fantasy as a kicker. But that's an aside. Travis Kelce, number 1 tight end. Devontae Adams, number 1 receiver. Tyreek Hill, number 2 receiver. Dalvin Cook, number 3 running back. Patrick Mahomes, number 3 quarterback. I feel like there was 1 or 2 other guys that were involved in that approach. You don't really need anything else from your roster when 5 of your offensive players are top 5. Top 3 in fantasy. Your running backs, receivers, and your quarterback. And your tight end. All of them are top 3 in fantasy. You can do whatever the hell you want with the rest of the roster. That's not mentioning Ronald Jones, the second, who had a good run with Tampa Bay. He was number 15. And Austin Hooper was the number 20 tight end, which tight end, I don't really mean much. But he gave 11 points in the championship game. He had a good double-digit run through that playoff stretch. All double-digit scores. Didn't do double digits the entire season, but weeks 15, 16, and 17 that year, all double digits. So this was the blueprint. This was the template. Why do I bring that up? Not just because I want to share and remind other owners of things past. That's not the point. I don't want to bring up old traumas just for trauma's sake. I bring that up because there have been false accusations. Shout out to Rick Ross. False accusations during that COVID-riddled 2020 year that I was complicit in that building of that juggernaut, aka Thanos. I know those are 2 different Marvel characters, but the Marvel guy's gone, so I don't really care. 2 different instances. The first one being one I was supposedly complicit in. Oh, you were Paul Heyman, and you enabled it, and you allowed it, and you did this, and you did that, and you didn't, and da 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 da. The commissioner should have stepped in and done X. And he didn't. And now here we are. During that season, I was not complicit. And we have the messages and the chats to prove it. For every trade that owner did for his 2020 championship, every trade en route to getting all those Infinity Stones, every trade, I said, what are y'all doing? I stood on the rooftops and I rang the church bell and I yelled as loud as I could and I said, stop! Everybody! Stop being complicit in this statutorial behavior. Because at that time, it was owners being taken advantage of that did not know better. Stop. You're helping build a monster. Stop it. And then another trade will go through. Stop. Look at what y'all are doing. Stop thinking just about yourselves. Think about what you're contributing to. It don't matter what you get if what you're giving helps create a monster. Stop. And then another trade go through. Stop it. Stop. What y'all are y'all listening? This is your commissioner speaking. As your commissioner, the one who cares the most about you and wants parity and objectivity, even if it's at my expense as an owner. Stop. You are creating a monster. Stop it. And then another trade would go through. And I said, you know what? Y'all not listening to me. Y'all not listening to me. No one seems to care. There's no outrage. And I said, you know what? Everybody's getting their piece. Everybody's getting their itch scratched. And they're getting the pieces that they desire. They're getting the candy and the chocolate and the special treatment that they want. Everybody's getting what they want. So I said, let me throw on my suit and tie. And I'll be this guy's biggest cheerleader on his way to the championship. And that's exactly what happened. I was an independent. There were no such things as vetocrats or trade publicans or any of that. That didn't exist yet. That was coming the next season or the next 2 seasons. But the ideologies were still there. There were people that loved to trade, even if it was wildly, unbalanced and only favoring them and not helping others. They didn't care. There's people that was on that extreme already, regardless of whether we have the terminology or not. And then there were people who were super conservative, who were like, you know what? I don't want to trade shit. I want to trust my draft. I want everybody else to trust their draft. I don't care if they drafted well or not. There shouldn't be that much movement. There were already people in these separate camps that year, particularly as that behavior was going on. I was in the middle. I'm like, I like to trade, but I also want to have a better draft. I don't want to have to trade. I was indifferent. But when I saw that, I'm like, you know what? Let's trade away. I was never a vetocrat. Let the record show. I was always independent. But that season was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and be a trade publican. I'll be a trade publican. Y'all trade whatever the hell y'all want to trade. And for the people who don't like it, tough. Either hit the veto button or hit the street. It is what it is. That's the tone and tenor of the totality of the ownership. That was the standard that was set by the majority of the 16 owners. We want to trade. And we want to trade so bad that it might send us to relegation or the basement. We don't care. We want to trade. I said, cool. I feel bad. Then came the rise of the vetocrats. The vetocrat era. It was an annoying era. It was a frustrating era. I fell victim to it. I think I had a couple trades vetoed in the next 2 or 3 seasons. Trades that I wasn't that emotionally invested in, but it was still like, dang, I would like that trade. There were some trades that got vetoed that was like, I'm glad y'all vetoed that trade because I actually have buyer's remorse. I'm glad that the trade didn't go through because as I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, I would have gave up too much. Or a piece that I really didn't want to give up. So thank you for vetoing the trade. But nonetheless, I had multiple trades vetoed, as did other owners who would soon become known as trade publicans. And we ended up moving the trade deadline up in a retroactive meeting as a result of the rampant, crazy trades that were happening way too late into the season. And I started to come back around. I'm like, you know what? Objectively, reasonably, I build my team too much. And this is me reflecting as an owner and as a commissioner. I build my team too much, and I'm too reliant myself on trades. And as somebody that has dignity and has pride, I'm like, you know what? I don't want my wins or my success to be predicated on predatorial behavior. Or on the fact that I don't draft well and I have to go try to fix it down. I want to be known as a good drafter, as a good spotter of talent before the season starts. I want to be known as that. So from like 2022, 21, 22 to present, those have been my best drafts. Because I've invested heavily in drafting better than I ever have in the history of retro. 23, 24, and this year were all three. Each year, my draft got better and better. To this year. There's no argument for that. That's facts. So I came back to balance. I didn't necessarily become a vetocrat. I just came away from the extreme of being a trade publican back to balance. I still say if you want to veto, but I do think there should be more freedom with people trading how they want to trade. And then this happened this season. All of this happened. And here we are back at it again. Right? That's just mentioning one owner with the past 30, 40 minutes. That's just one owner and his shenanigans. That y'all were complicit in empowering him to a championship run. The question keeps coming up, if he makes the playoffs, he's still got to make the playoffs. He's making the playoffs. Take a picture, screenshot it, record it, however you want to document it. I understand the division he's in. I understand the position he's in. He's making the playoffs. Point blank period. Barring injury, knock on wood, barring injury, he's making the playoffs. The question is he going to be able to accumulate enough defensive pieces to support the offensive pieces and make him unstoppable? Which is what happened with the other owner who won in 2020. That's the real question. Or is he going to be able to keep everybody, is everybody going to be able to stay healthy? Those are the only two real questions. Injury aside and finding stuff on the wire, which usually is there every year, aside, he's going to the playoffs, at least. Then I look at some of these other trades. Since trades has been the theme of the past 2 weeks, let's just dedicate the whole live to trades. Let's just talk about fucking trades. All right? Let's look at the non-perpetrator trades that occurred. That one's not really worth mentioning. The Jaden Blue for Kyle Monunga, that's a homer trade. No big deal. Quinshon Judkins, Calvin Ridley, and Jawan Johnson for Jamar Chase, Theo Johnson, Omarion Hampton. Flacco hadn't gotten to Cincinnati yet, so it looked like Jamar Chase was trade fodder. Like he wasn't going to revisit what he has done throughout his career. Omarion Hampton's hurt. But you're getting rid of Quinshon Judkins, Juwan Johnson. Calvin really ain't really done nothing. So Quinshon was really the golden goose in that trade. Now, it looks like a similar style of trade, similar, not the same, but similar to what I've been laying out with perpetrator number one. We're just going to call him that the rest of the night. Perp number one. It looks like that. Because guess what? Joe Flacco arrived. And so did Jamar Chase. It erased all the other pieces that this owner traded away. I'm sure he's not missing Calvin Ridley today. Or Juwan Johnson. But that's not like a egregious trade. It's not. Here goes one. Competing for the worst owner in retroactive history, at least in a single season. This owner trades away Justin Jefferson after weeks of multiple owners pleading with him to trade players away to try to improve his roster so he can compete. He finally does it the week before the trade deadline. Trades away Justin Jefferson, J.K. Dobbins. He gets an injured Bucky Irving, Alex Anzalone, fair, Quinn Johnston, still shaky, and Byron Young. He got 4 good pieces. That's a solid trade, in my opinion, for the receivers he already had. Puka at the time wasn't hurt. Garrett Wilson was still putting up numbers despite the Jets being shitty. And you add Quinn Johnston replacing Justin Jefferson. Not a big deal. You lose J.K. Dobbins, but you really improve with Bucky, but you got to wait on Bucky. So that was another instance of like, and these are 2 younger owners, relatively speaking, in the history of retro. 2 younger owners, so it wasn't like, I don't think this was predatorial, but there's still a gap of like, this dude he's the defending champion, and then this dude, he really just don't know what he's doing. You need to win now, and you get rid of a running back that can produce for you now for a running back that we don't know when he's coming back. And we see how that turned out for you. You did get Byron Young, though, but your D-line, since we talk, I'm hopping all over the place, but there have been talks of strategy and not disregarding one strategy for another, allowing people to have their different strategies and do what they want to do. Fine. I have no argument for that. That's a fair argument. 16-team league, IDP, a lot of moving pieces. Let people build their teams how they want to build them. They can invest heavy in D-line, invest heavy in linebackers, invest heavy in tight ends, invest heavy in running backs, receivers, however you want to do it. I agree. I don't disagree. However, if you're investing in D-line halfway through the season and you barely have a linebacking core or you barely have a solid stable of running backs, it's kind of backwards. Especially when you're giving away the pieces that he gave away. So he lost that trade. Even though he got 4 pieces, he lost the trade where he needed the trade to help him, which was in the short term. He didn't need the trade to help him long term because you got to get out of the basement first before you can think about the long term. You got to try to get into playoff contention before you can try to think about a championship. That's a championship type of move. Is what it is. Teddy Buchanan, Khalil Mack, Jordan Davis, Rashid Shaheed for Myles Garrett. That's a lot. The saying goes, you got to pay for what you want. Right? You got to pay for what you want. This brother decided to overpay for what he wanted. I feel like if you're going to trade the owner that you traded, who had Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons, you should have tried to aim for Micah Parsons, because Myles Garrett has been and will continue to be highly inconsistent. I stopped investing in Myles Garrett in my trio of D linemen that I would always get, Max Crosby, TJ Watt, because Myles Garrett was too inconsistent. And if you watch the games, which I always say, sometimes you just need to watch football, hint, hint, you will see that he takes plays off. He takes quarters off. He takes halves off. And I don't really blame him now that I think about it, because he plays for the Cleveland Browns. fair to take time off in the game. Don't want to hurt yourself. Don't want to exhaust yourself, particularly if the game's not going to be close. I get it. Even though you're a physical freak and you could probably score more points on defense yourself than your whole offense could score week to week. But he don't want to do it. So he plays off. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need that kind of player on my roster. So I stopped targeting him. I don't even think about him in my draft strategy or trade strategy. I do think about Michael Parsons. And even though he has not performed well the first couple weeks, he's coming back from an injury. He's getting back into playing shape. He's getting used to a new defense. He's about to turn up. You could have made that same trade for Michael Parsons. It is what it is. You pay for what you pay for. You were able to recoup on the back end with other trades that you made to where you didn't lose out too much. And you didn't really give up too much. Unless Khalil Mack has a year like he had 2 years ago. Then you're going to feel kind of silly. Especially, and we both like Teddy Buchanan, so I didn't understand that part either. But got to pay for what you want. That wasn't crazy egregious. Especially with who you traded, he's in the basement and he's not coming out. That's where he prefers to be, eating his candy. A Dak Prescott sighting in a trade. I don't think I ever seen Dak get traded in fantasy football. But he is the number 2 quarterback in fantasy right now, and deservedly so. Let's hit pause from all the shenanigans that I'm doing tonight. Dak Prescott is balling. Best season of his career thus far. And that's with CeeDee Lamb missing a significant amount of time. He's playing very well. Helps that he has a solid running game and Javonte Williams. That helps a lot, tremendously. And it helps that he has George Pickens as the number 2 receiver. Helps tremendously. Way more talent on the offense than he's ever had in his career. Totality of talent. Zeke was with Dez. Dez was on his way out. I don't remember the tight end during that time. And then it's been spotty up until CD got there, where they didn't ever have a running game like what they got. This is the best offense that I think he's been in since he's been in the league. Which I'm not taking that. It's not taking away from what he's doing. He's still driving the ship. It's Dak. Shout out to Dak. Dak got traded with Jadon Blue. That's a homer trade because he not. Anyway, and Shaq Thompson for Bobby Wagner, Brock Purdy, and Jawan Jennings. That's pretty even. I didn't have no issue with that one. That's a nothing. And I don't think there was any other crazy trades, not including perpetrator number 1. I do think that this trade between Ricky Pearsall and Bashaw Tootin for Tez Johnson and J.K. Dobbins, that was a little lopsided. I am invested in Travis Etienne. I have watched that rushing attack struggle as they've gone up against better defenses. And I don't think it's going to change because the second half of the fantasy season, Jacksonville is going to play a lot of more good rushing defenses. So I don't anticipate Bashaw Tootin, barring injury again, getting much spin to where the gap between him and J.K. Dobbins is going to be equal to the gap between Ricky Pearsall and Tez Johnson. I think Tez Johnson is going to take on a much larger role with Mike Evans being out with the broken collarbone, Chris Godwin not being himself, and Jalen McMillan has been in the shadows this whole. I don't know what's going on with him, and he's in a better offense than not a better offense, but he's in the offense while Ricky Pearsall is sidelined. So I honestly think the owner who received Tez Johnson, I'm not saying names tonight, the owner who received Tez Johnson and J.K. Dobbins won that trade by a significant margin. Because Ricky Pearsall is still kind of up in the air in terms of who he's going to be in San Francisco. He's not been on the field consistently enough. The quarterback hasn't been consistent. it's always been moving pieces in San Francisco since he's been in the league the past season and a half. Meanwhile, Tez Johnson is already, we seen him Monday night. If you don't think that is something he could do beyond Monday, after what he did in Oregon, I'm just saying, we're not watching the same games. And then my trade with, two trades. My trade with the Jump Out Boys, I lost the trade. I'll say it. I wasn't really trying to win the trade. I knew I needed to get rid of a receiver. And I didn't want to get rid of this tight end, Darren Waller. But guess what? Darren Waller's on the IR. Found that out 5 minutes before the trade. I had no plans of getting rid of him. I was hoping he would come back in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But I cannot afford to have a gap in my flex spots for 4 weeks when there's nothing on the wire that looks like it's going to pop out for me. So I said, let me go ahead and throw him in the trade, and let me see if I can get a tight end who's really not been producing that well as what he once did when he was basically the Sam Laporta in Detroit before getting traded to Minnesota. Let me see if I can get him. And I'll put Darren Waller in there, who's a better producing tight end that can help the owner I traded with in his flex spot going into the playoffs as he makes his playoff run. Because I do think he's going to go to the playoffs. Because he already had, who's the other tight end you had, bro? Ain't it Zach Ertz? You got a starting tight end already, so this is your second tight end that I traded for. Zach Ertz. Number 9 in fantasy right now. So you got a top producing, high ceiling receiver and a tight end in tuck for a fantasy playoff run. And I got Sterling Shepard, who, let's be real, he ain't did nothing in Tampa since he been there consistently. And he probably won't. And TJ Hawkinson, who hit double digits twice in 7 weeks. Once in 7 weeks. I lost that trade. I said if I'm going to lose a trade, and this is for a certain owner, one particular owner that y'all all know his name, who's like, oh, y'all don't never give me the 3-for-1s. Y'all don't never give me the 4-for-1s. Y'all don't never give me the even trades. Y'all always try to get me. Y'all never want to pay for what y'all want with me. This was a 2-for-2. And I didn't win the trade. I was more than willing to give, but you have to be willing to give to get. It can't be two owners getting. That's not how it works. Both owners have to give in order to get. Not one owner give and both owners get. They don't work like that. And that's why you will always suck at trades, because you never give. You're a selfish owner. And it has produced nothing for you but forgettable division championships. I digress. So that was my trade with that owner. And then the final trade, T. Higgins and Jihad Campbell for Justin Jefferson. I didn't like this trade. I didn't like it. And I thought people would not like it with me. But as I look at the voting, it looks like everybody likes the trade. Or 2 people like the trade. Nobody has voted to veto it. Jihad Campbell and T. Higgins for Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson is superior to T. Higgins 10 times out of 10. I don't think it's a huge gap, but it's significant. I do think that the quarterback situation is better in Cincinnati than it is currently in Minnesota. And that's just me. I think Flacco and his style of quarterback, and not saying he's just this elite, superior, otherwise he wouldn't get traded midway through the season for a 6th-round pick or whatever. But I think his style of play and his talent, his ability to go deep and to process quickly, his experience, I think all of those things suit his situation with T. Higgins better than either Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy with Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. Nevertheless, if you look at Justin Jefferson's production since he's been in the league, he will touch 1,400, 1,500 yards every year if he stays healthy. It don't matter who's throwing him the ball. So I understand the trade. I just didn't get it. I feel like you trade in close enough receiver talent and giving away a linebacker to get virtually close enough receiver talent. To be fair, T. Higgins had not done nothing prior to this past week. But again, T. Higgins didn't have Joe Flacco. I just think it's going to be different now. I think there's new life in that Cincinnati offense. The threat of getting the ball down the field lightens the box, which helps the running game. And once the running game gets going, we saw what Chase Brown did. As much as I've hated on Chase Brown all season, I just don't. I didn't see it. I watched the game Thursday. Chase Brown looked good running the ball. I have to be honest. He had a good running night, and I saw what other people see in him. I see it. I did. Now that gets going. Now the box gets crowded again, and guess what? Joe Flacco takes it over the top again and starts going deep again. And now the defense cannot be predictable. It can't just line up one way or the other. That makes that offense a threat again. I can't say that for Minnesota's offense necessarily. So Justin Jefferson may get yards. The yards may be comparable or better than T. Higgins because he's getting the targets. But he might not be getting the same amount of touchdowns or the same amount of big plays. Might be getting 10 here, 10 here, 15 here, 10 here. T. Higgins could get 20, 15, 5, 30, tutty. Along with giving up Jahad Campbell, I didn't like it. Is what it is. I think that's all I got for the trades. I don't even know if I want to talk about the matchups. I did make this note. I now understand the frustration with everything you've heard me say tonight. I now understand the frustration as a rehabilitated trade abuser. Somebody who's like, you know what? I want to try to get through a whole season without trading. That's the goal every year now. As somebody in that mind space, I now understand the frustrations of a Janine or a Black Rob or other owners who are like, you know what? I draft a great squad or a relatively good squad every year just to watch other owners toot it up, get their candy and their chocolate, and just give good pieces away to owners who don't do research, who don't watch the games, and really questionably know anything about football and help build their teams up when they really don't deserve it and didn't earn it. They just watch the trends and they're good salesmen. I get it now. I understand it. I fully understand that. Especially when some owners are choosing to be willingly oblivious or just completely stupid. Ain't nothing I can do about that at our big ages. Wanted to talk about Deuces Live too. Couple things. I already touched on that. You mentioned in your live, Deuce, that you had an extra wide receiver one. That was the word you used. You had an extra wide receiver one. I don't think I've ever heard an owner, even if it's what they thought or what they felt, I don't think I ever heard anybody say with confidence that, things are just going to work out all right. I had an extra wide receiver one. So essentially I could afford to trade him away. You got to have a lot of confidence in your team to make that statement in rap with the history of rap. Now, again, I spoke on Olave, how I feel about him, his inconsistency, etc., etc. But, bro, For him to be the extra wide receiver one you're talking about, when you only have one other one that you just got and has now got hamstring questions, you got to watch that the rest of the year because he's going to have to manage that the rest of the year. You trade away the only other real wide receiver one that you got. It's kind of a crazy statement in really any style of league. That's not even mentioning who you gave Olave to and all the stuff I said earlier. That just that stuck out to me. Like, you got an extra wide receiver one. I know an owner that has 4 wide receiver ones and still doesn't think they have an extra one. You know, they just know that that's trade bait. But if they can hold on to all 4 wide receiver ones healthy, they will do that. But different strategies, different approaches. I also will say that as much you had a spot on analysis, Deuce, of what you anticipate happening with Jordan's offense, what you anticipate happening with your offense or your team and his team and other teams, and the distribution of scoring and ability and ceilings and floors. Like it was a good analysis, to be fair. With all that said, if we put your offense and his offense side by side, and I'm going to pull up your roster just to make sure I'm not tripping, because I spoke on his offense. I forget who you're getting because I know the trades are not final. I'm just going off of what I see on the screen. Let me see if I can still see your trades. What trades haven't processed yet? You got Kayshon Boutte on the way, or he's there. That was your last trade that hasn't processed. Right? Yeah. So all the guys that's on your offense are on your offense. You have Woody Marks, Jalen Warren, Romeo Doubs, Ibuka, Cade Otton, Khalil Shakir, Mark Andrews. David Montgomery's on bye. So really David Montgomery instead of Woody Marks for now, because Woody Marks could take over. If that offense has a meh kind of week, like just a okay week, an average week in the playoffs, you're done. You're done. That offense cannot afford to have a down week at any point the rest of the season, let alone in the playoffs. Not that offense. That offense is going to have to stand on its head to get you close to a championship. The defense, we don't have to say nothing about your defense. You always, that is your thing. That's your thing. You got Nick Cross, you got Cam Bynum, Taron Johnson. I see it. Number 1 kicker in Brandon Aubrey, hometown. I get it. Zach Bond, Alex Singleton, Shaq Thompson. You still got Overshown on the IR. Micah McFadden on it. You got linebackers galore. Nate Landman on bye. One thing you ain't going to have to worry about is linebacker. And DB. You ain't got to worry. We don't have to worry about that with Deuce. So your defense is there. Defensive line, outside of Daron Payne, he's been the most consistent. Defensive line can come and go. But you work around that with your linebackers and your DBs. Fair. If that offense don't have Emeka Ibuka give you 20-30, Jalen Warren give you 15-20, and Dak Prescott give you like 30-35, your team is in trouble any given week, particularly the playoffs. Now, on the other hand, the guy that you helped, if his offense is meh or just average, he's still going to be touching 240, 250. That's the difference. That's the summary of your whole hour talking about the trades. The down weeks, the floors for his offense will still get him in the 240 and 250 range on the down weeks if the defense has their regulars, because he still has solid linebackers. He improved his D-line by getting Yaya Diaby with that last trade. Don't think I didn't see that one. And then Hassan Reddick being out. There's more opportunities for Yaya. Alex Highsmith. And he has good DBs too, because you gave him good DBs. Malachi Starks, Jalen Petrie. He picks up Elijah Molden. Hit or miss. Nashawn Wright has been playing decent. And you said yourself, as everybody knows who's been a veteran here, you can always find other DBs. The defense is going to be the supporting cast in his story. That offense is the star. If they would all have to not perform well in tandem in order for him to drop into the 220s. That's the difference. That's the idea of the Infinity Stones. That's what I was saying when I try to do again in the chat this season, what I did in 2020. Stop trading with this dude. What are y'all doing? Stop. Well, I mean, I thought it was an even trade. I helped him, but I helped myself too. My team good too. What else can you say? And you know what would make it worse is if both of y'all get to the playoffs. Deuce, you probably still get into the playoffs, probably still winning your division. If you get to the playoffs and say Jordan goes through a wild card and y'all 4-5 or 3-6 matchup, you lose to him in the first round, you're going to be sick. Tell me you won't. Because you're going to know in the back of your mind, whether your pride will let you admit it or not, you're going to know that you empowered him to beat you. And it probably won't be a close loss. It'll probably be like 30, 40 points. It'll probably be a significant loss by week 15. That'll really make you sick. You won some battles. You won some trade battles and some waiver battles and some draft battles. You won some battles. But are you going to win the war? And you know what that war looked like. That's what makes it so confusing for me. Knowing your football mind and your football acumen, as well as your fantasy football mind and acumen, it's just like you just put blinders on and just said, you know what? I ain't worried about what I'm doing for him. I'm not worried about it. Look at what I'm doing. I see what you're doing, bro. You need to look at what he's doing. You need to take the blinders off. I'm off that. I'm going to briefly go through these scores. I feel like that was a pretty good live in and of itself. That was a good hour. Let me look at these comments first, and that'll determine whether I go into the scores or not. I might just call it a day. I did lose this week. I'll go ahead and throw that out there. I'm not avoiding talking about that. Took the L. Which it was an L I expected to take. I didn't expect it to be as close as it was. I thought he was going to blow me out. I thought his team was going to blow out my team's score. But to get as close as I did, it was frustrating. But let me go back, because I know these comments are going crazy, and they are. This is why I be wanting to go live on YouTube, because then all of this stuff can be documented forever. The comments can be documented, and there ain't gonna be no transferring. I ain't never seen you executive veto before. Yikes! Yep, that was a first ever in retro history. I just had to use executive veto power. A minor in fantasy is crazy. Well, think about it, Rob. You came in with a different mindset. You have more of a laser focus, competitive, I'm going to do what it takes to win kind of mindset that most people don't have. You and I both know this. We we sparred and was drill partners for years. Like, you have a different mindset. I have a different mindset. Everybody not coming into fantasy with that mindset. So add into that, you come into fantasy, it might be your first year doing fantasy, let alone your first year doing IDP. And then you're doing it with other owners who've been doing it for over a decade. Like, it's in comparison, that's a minor. That's a innocent green, I don't know, pun intended. A green owner is like, I don't really know what I'm doing, for real. And some of them on their way into the league will tell me, bro, I really don't know nothing about IDP. I feel like they won't say it because their pride won't let them as grown men. But they basically saying, like, I don't want nobody to take advantage of me. Protect me. Help me. I say, I'll help you, but you got to be in the chat. You got to respond when I DM you or hit. Like, you got to respond. And they don't do it. But me being the commissioner that I am, I still try to protect them. They're minors, relatively speaking. Definitely call the police after this. 2018 was wild. Yeah, 2020 was what I was talking about. Tune it up. You got it right. Just tune it up, Janine. Tune it up without a second thought. Great play, if you will. Yeah, I gotta stop saying that. I said that word a lot. Good catch. Sounds like a swingers event. That's hella funny. Traders get down on the floor. The perp. Yeah, perpetrator number one. Man went from TV series to the court. Yeah, I'm an actor, D. Will. My bad. It's all acting. It's all entertainment. I did not want to mention baby oil at any point. For all we know why. Janine, you going crazy in these comments. And that's why I veto shit. I get it, Sip. I get it. I get it. J Flo, I appreciate you sticking around. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Kendrick is baby oil Jr. Oh my God. Story sounds very, very familiar. It does. Like Ralph said, this is sounding bad. I don't even remember what I said to that, J Flo. Take booty. Yo, Janine, take booty. I did say that multiple times. Take booty. I didn't even think about myself saying that. That's crazy. I didn't think people was gonna catch tenderly. You gotta be tender. Rap sounds like a bunch of rookies. You would think so, J Flo. But okay, look at it like this, J Flo, since we talking. You and Fish, right? We both in Fish. If you still watching this. You just seen 2 trades go through, and that's what I wanted to mention. I appreciate you saying that and bringing that to my memory. Thank you. 2 trades went through in Fish since we talking about trades and shitty owners. That just pissed me off all over again. There's a particular owner in another fantasy football league that many owners are still in. It's called Fish. Fuck it. Shit happens. Fish. Fish. This is a keeper league that's transitioning to a dynasty league. So you can keep players year on year, and more players you can keep more, with each season until it becomes dynasty. This particular owner, who I mentioned in yellow, who's having a great year, he's a shitty owner in Fish. He's one of those owners that's taking advantage of shitty owners. But standing on his own with other competitive owners, it still remains to be seen if he's actually good. I digress. So he's tanking in Fish because his record's bad. He can't draft. He don't know what the fuck he's doing. He says, hey, I'm done. I'm not going to put up any more fight. Send me draft picks to prepare for the next season. 2 different owners sent this owner draft picks who, and these owners are at the top of the league. They're both the top 2 owners in fish. One owner says, you know what? I'm really wanting that Keenan Allen that you got over there. Let me see if I can get that Keenan Allen off of you. And you know what I'll give you? And again, we're talking about players you can keep for the long term. Eventually a dynasty league. Players you can invest in and hold their entire careers if you want. Let me go get Keenan Allen. This is the owner that's the number 1 owner in the league. Let me go get a Keenan Allen who's 32, 33 years old. And I'm going to give you Ricky Pearsall and a 3rd round pick. Y'all tell me what y'all think about that trade. I'm first in the league. I have the best record and the best team, clearly. I don't really need to improve my roster, but it's always good to try to improve my roster fair. In the process of improving my roster, I'm going to give you Ricky Pearsall, who I could keep for however many years in the future, and I'm going to give you a 3rd round pick for Keenan Allen. And then the second best owner in the league is like, yo, you did that? You did that, bro? Hey, bro, you know, I want to do something. I want to do the same thing. You know what I'm going to do? I want to improve my team too. Give me JCM. Give me Jacoby Krosky-Merritt or Bill, as they call him Bill. They call him Bill. You give me Bill, and I'll give you Blake Corum for the Rams, and I'll give you a 5th round pick. That way you'll have an extra 3rd and an extra 5th. And all you gotta do is give me Bill, man. Dumbass. So to your question, J-Flow, it's not that rap is full of rookies. It's that good owners can still be idiots when it comes to trades. Still can be susceptible to idiotic trades. I want to say it's not their fault, but you know, Janine brought up earlier, we need to have some kind of screening process or something for some of these owners. You know, you might could draft with, and it's life, right? I think Jordan said in his brief live, some coaches in the NFL, like John Harbaugh, they don't specialize in anything. He's a special teams coach. But he knows how to get good talent around him. Right? Or you could have a Sean McVay, specializing in offense. You have a Todd Bowles or a Raheem Morris, they specialize in defense. Mike Vrabel. You know what I mean? Or certain coaches who specialize in certain positions. And then some coaches are not really, they just know how to get, be a good leader. Mike Tomlin, he's just a good leader. Probably the best leader in the NFL today. Not really known for specializing in any one position group or side of the ball. And it's like that in rap. Some owners can trade very well, and that's their specialty, and they lean on that. If all else fails, they fuck up their draft, or everybody gets hurt, or they can't find nothing on the wire. I know how to trade, and I know how to talk that talk to get people to trade. Just throw them some candy and some chocolate, and I'm going to get them to trade. Some owners draft really well, and they like, you know what? I trust my draft. It's even, it's balanced, it's well distributed. As long as nobody get hurt, I'm good. The rest of the season, I ain't even trying to touch the wire. I'm gonna hold on to my waiver claim all season. My top spot in the waiver claim. Some owners, they know how to find stuff on the wire. They do their research, or they whatever. They follow the trends and the info and the insiders and all the Twitter pages and whatever else, and they build their team through the wire. They might be moderate on the draft, moderate on the trades, but they fire on the wire. Hello. Everybody different. But some owners that don't know how to trade will end up in positions like this because they specialize in other areas and they don't strengthen their skill or study the ability of trading. Then when they have to trade, they do trades like this. And they look dumb as hell. Even if you're in the top 2 positions in the league, you end up making stupid trades where you give up more than you ever needed to give up. I don't know. You can see all the trades in 2018. I wish I would have known that earlier. That's my fault. I'm not about to go back to it now. Folks need to learn how to trade or just don't. I agree with that, Black Rob. That's why I barely trade. I understand that shit. I didn't even see Joe Mixon, Tiz. He said guaranteed 300 plus. How is this happening in rap if this is supposed to be the top tier? Don't make sense. Bro, this is the whole reason why this live has been about an hour and a half of me talking about trades. Because none of us saw this happening again 5 years later. It's still the top league, but all of this has caught us off guard from what happened 5 years ago. We thought that chapter was dead and gone. It was documented, it was resolved, it was addressed, regulated, rules put into place. We thought everything was done the way it needed to be done so this wouldn't happen again. So we're all asking the same question you having. How is this happening again? Egos. Shout out to Janine. Simple answer. Egos. Rap needed a remix. Didn't want it on this way, but shit got shook up. But you got rid of the no trade league. I got rid of the no trade league because one, I sucked at it. I made that clear. But two, it was an experimental league. It was never meant to be long term. I just wanted to see something. The owner that won the no trade league was one of the biggest traders in rap. So it still didn't prove the point that the vetocrats keep saying it proved or insinuating, like, oh, you got rid of no trade league. You're a trader, but you got rid of no trade leagues because you couldn't win without trade. Well, one of the biggest traders in the history of rap won the no trade league. So it's not why I got rid of the no trade league. It just wasn't meant to be a long-term thing. I like to trade, but I try to exercise restraint. You see, I've done 3 or 4 trades. Well, I did more than that if we're talking about the beginning of the season. I've done multiple trades, but I get attached to my players. The players that I invest in, I be really wanting them to do well. I want to see them do well throughout the course of the season. That's why when I do my research in the off season, I'm like, I'm going to invest in this player for the whole season. I'm not going into it like, oh, I'm going to try to hold this player to like week 4 and flip him. I used to do that. That used to be my mindset. Like, oh, let me stack up this particular position and then try to flip guys as the season goes, and then that's more effort than just knowing who you drafting and picking them in the right spot. So I do prefer to hold on to my draft picks throughout the course of the year and have that be my core of my team. But I still like trading. Trading is fun. I like to trade. The process is fun, especially when you're trading with other owners who know what they're doing and they're open to trading. It's fun. Period. That's why I like to trade. I did too. No means no. That's hella funny. Respectfully, Sip, you gave Tez Tyreek, so you complicit in the history too. Ah, that word, complicit. Complicit. You got to tell Diddy no. Hella funny. Tyreek was not productive when I traded him. He didn't progress until mid, maybe end of the season. See, there we go again. That's what I'm talking about. I was just saying about T. Higgins or Jamar Chase. I mean, they weren't productive for me, and I couldn't afford to wait. I was in a tough space, man. I was 1-6. I was 2-5. I was 3-4. My team was barely hitting 200, 220. I was struggling. I was down. I was beaten, depressed. And then a light came in. And the light said, give me Tyreek. That's all I have. Tyreek's not doing nothing for you. Yeah, you're right. He's not doing nothing for me. Give me Tyreek. But what am I getting in return? Here's some candy. And you gave him Tyreek. It's the same thing. He gave you some Skittles and some Starbursts, and you gave him Tyreek, and we know what happened after that. A guy like Tyreek at that point, when he's still with the Chiefs, bro, it don't matter if he was productive or not at the beginning of the year. He's Tyreek. Get more for Tyreek. That's the whole point of everything I've been saying for the past hour and a half. Don't trade. Especially when everybody's saying, bro, no, don't do that. Just don't trade. He was still Tyreek. Being short-sighted then and now is the issue. Yeah. That's the whole point. See, but what I got in return, though, I got that fire pack of Skittles, and I got some Starbursts, too. I got like an all-pink pack of Starbursts. You know, the pink are the best ones. And then I also got, I didn't get the regular Lifesavers, but I got the Lifesavers Neons. You know what I'm saying? The neon joints with all the different exotic flavors. I got them, too. I got all that for Tyreek. So, I'm just saying, it helped me out. It helped me out. I got helped out. I don't know what happened with y'all. I got helped out. 2020. 3 people from the jungle making the offs. I think so. At this point, with what Jordan just did, I think Black Rob, you will make the playoffs. Christian will make the playoffs. Jordan's gonna make the playoffs. Yep. Flacco was traded before the trade happened. He just hadn't played yet. That makes it even worse. Looking at it now, it was a blessing that got vetoed. Kind of like you mentioned, there were times in the past you had trader's remorse. Good job. Hey, Harrison. Harry Decker. Woo! We saved one. That's why you got to advocate for people. You know what I'm saying? You got to believe in the best for people. You know, give them the information. Some people will come around. It don't always happen. Some people remain stubborn. They got that candy, man. I'm on that candy, dog. I'm on that candy, man. You know, all I had to give up was Tyreek, dog. I'm on that candy, dog. Some people are going to remain stubborn. You can't save everybody. But then you get guys like Harry Decker. Good job. I appreciate that message, Harrison. It's the people that's closest to you that you got to watch out for. You an undercover Cowboys fan. I knew it. What'd I say that made you say that, J-Flo? You can't vote once the deadline hits. Oh, Ted said that. I thought you could still vote on trades after the deadline. Candy and chocolate. That's why. Them old swindling ways coming back out, Tiz. Them old swindling ways. Deuce was here in he wasn't here in 2020. You're dead. You're dead. Dad. D-A-D. You're dad. White girl voice. Terrible trade in Fish. I agree. Crack must be in the room with them. The Pearsall third round Keenan pick. Yeah. Yep. Crack is in the room. But that's the thing. And this is what J-Flo was basically asking earlier. How can these trades get off in Fish or in Rap? I'm like, the trades get off in Fish. You see the same trades in Fish. it's not about who's getting taken advantage of. Some people take advantage of themselves. They just give it up, and they don't know. They don't realize what's happening until it's over, and they see the end result, and they just looking at the candy in their hand like, damn, was that worth it? But it's just too late after that. And already gave it up. Like, you in such a great position, like the guys in fish, you're in such a great position, you don't realize that you're giving up too much because you're like, I'm good, I'm straight, I'll give up a third, I'll give up a fifth. Bruh, that's a lot, that's significant. I should know because I had a horrible draft in fish because I gave up a lot of my top 10 picks. Still competitive, but that's another story. Man, it's a clear case of you can't trust your friends. You're right, Jordan. These voice changes are sending me. As long as no one gets hurt. No, we're past the, statutory phase. There's a lot of pain involved. But people are saying, the owners are saying the pain is worth the, what they get in return. Hurt people hurt people. If you want to learn how to trade, we are currently taking applications. Shut up. All right, I'm done. Yeah, I'm not going. I'll talk about sports briefly since I got y'all here. River City Rollers took the L, 198.92 to 225.56 to the Rat Kings, aka Kevin Grabowski. Both of us are now 5-2. I didn't think this was going to be the matchup of the week or one of the matchups of the week just because I looked at my team and I'm like, they don't look ready, they don't look good. Bye weeks, poor performances. Meanwhile, Kevin's team should have scored more than 225. They were projected for like 240, 250. They dropped into striking distance. I made the mistake, and this is this is hindsight. I made the mistake of putting Jackson Dart on the bench. I did not anticipate him going for 36.42 points against the Broncos. Did not see that coming. So that's a 24-point difference from who I did start and Carson Wentz, who gave me 12.32 points. That extra 24 would have put me at 19, 20, 20. That would have put me at 222, 223. I still would have lost, but it would have been a more competitive matchup. There's nothing else that I would have done different. I did not know that Ivan Pace had gotten benched. So I could always say, oh yeah, you start Malik Mustafa or Jacob Parrish along with Jackson Dart, and I still win. That's all hindsight. I didn't think Malik Mustafa was going to get a whole lot of opportunities. I know they're working him back in and getting his conditioning back. Jacob Parrish, I just was uncertain about. And I honestly thought Ivan Pace was going to start alongside Blake Cashman, which would give him more opportunities to get the 15, 20-point games that he's had the past 2 seasons. I didn't know the man was missing hella tackles or was on his way to getting benched or was bad in coverage. I didn't know none of that until I got on X halfway through the second quarter. I'm like, where is this man's stats? Oh, he's been benched. Goose egg. So, yes, I had stuff on the bench that could have won me the matchup, but all that's hindsight. I thought Carson Wentz had way better matchups with Philly's defense. The pass defense has been shaky all season, and I didn't think he was going to throw 2 picks and fumble the ball. That also screwed him. That cost him about 12, 14 points right there. So that was pretty much the difference in the matchup. I had Jordan Addison go for 21.3, Michael Pittman 17.3. Tyler Warren has been a godsend. I think in the 5th round I got him. 6th round. 14.9 points. Demario Davis, whoever traded him to me, thank you again. 17 points. 20 points from Barrett Carter. Pleasantly surprised. Glad I was able to pick him up. And 14 from Kenny Moore, who, why he ended up on the wire, I don't know, but thank you. I like my team down the stretch, especially with the trade. I don't think I get a lot of upside from Hawkinson, but I need somebody to consistently go in the flex spot, at least give me 6, 7, 8 points minimum reliably. Sterling Shepard, I hope I don't have to start him. I'll probably just try to throw Christian Watson in there if he's ready. Or hurry up and come back Cedric Tillman or Brandon Ayuk. Somebody, please. I also had James Cook on the bench, which didn't help me. But a deserved victory nonetheless from Kevin. He earned it. It wasn't lucky. It was lucky being as close as it was. I didn't start who I started, but he still started everybody he needed to start to get the win. Dak Prescott, 31.26, 22 from Devin White, all his linebackers double digits, all his DBs double digits, and his defensive flexes. So he did just enough. Offense didn't really help him out too much outside of Achane and Mason both going for doubles. His receivers didn't do nothing for him. Still got the dub. Speaking of Deuce, picked up a close victory, 233.1 to 230.74. The Texas Shooting Stars beat Queens Brigade, aka Janine Truesdale. Both owners now 4-3. 4-3 is good enough for first in America's teams for Deuce, but it's only good enough for fourth in the Frozen Tundra division. Home field advantage worked in Deuce's favor this week as Tua gave him a negative 4.4 points. I don't think I've ever seen that from any player in the history of fantasy football. I think that's the worst score I've ever seen from any individual player. Negative 4.4 points, and he still managed to win. And as he mentioned in his live, he didn't get the safety that he did deserve with Deron Payne. Payne still managed to get 13 points, but it should have been more. Or did they add the safety back on? Nah, it couldn't have. Chris Olave, who we were just speaking about at length, 24.3 points, 19.8 from Jaylen Warren. Woody Marks went for 11, K-Dot 12. All the offense went for doubles. All the linebackers doubles. All the DBs doubles. That's the formula, you know. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if this is the ceiling for this offense, if this is the best, because you did get Dak, that's a great addition to the offense. David Montgomery only gave you 4.9. He can be hit or miss too. But if the ceiling for the offense is this, plus an additional 25 from Dak, 30, you're going to be touching 240, 250 as your ceiling. And again, that would be another owner's floor. Your ceiling would be another owner's floor, but I'll leave that alone. Emeka Egbuka only gave you 7.82 to be fair. If he gets over that hamstring, that would give you closer to 260 ceiling. Janine, you had A.J. Brown finally boom, 28.1 points. CeeDee Lamb went for 26.5. You had to start Bryce Young. He only gave you 11. Chase Brown went for 13. I mentioned that. You started Jalen Coker. You've been heavily invested in Jalen Coker. You saw some things in Jalen Coker that I never saw. That didn't work. He gave you a goose egg. And meanwhile, Xavier Legette went like 9 for 92 and 2 touchdowns. He had like his best career game. So I think we can say with certainty it's the Teteroa and Legette show for now. Cortland Sutton went for 13.7. Jamie Sherwood 24. Kenneth Murray 20.5, excuse me. Tyke Smith 26.5. I was completely wrong about him. I'll say that every week. Number 1 corner in fantasy. You saw that coming from a mile away. I didn't even know the brother's name, let alone his game. I was wrong. That's a great. Your defensive backfield is solid. This loss is. It's a. I ain't gonna say it's a good loss, but it's an understandable loss. You had some guys on bye. Not even gonna speak on Rondé Gaskin. None of us saw that happening this week. You got off of Ricky Pearsall, as I mentioned earlier. So you got J.K. Dobbins coming and Tez Johnson coming. So you got some offensive help that you really didn't need. You needed running back help, but you didn't need any more offensive help. You had the receiver core is threatening. Figuring out running back, getting better quarterback back in the lineup. That offense is scary, and the defense, if everybody can gel at the same time, it is a dangerous roster. If everybody can stay healthy, it is a dangerous starting lineup, especially throwing Gaskin in there. If he can get a third of what he did Sunday and just give you double digits, you got a lineup for sure. Rob's Devil Dogs. I did not see this coming. Now, I hyped up Zach all week, all month, for the past 2 weeks. Let's say the past 2 weeks. I was like, Zach, wow, scoring, top 3, top 2 scoring, owner, unfortunate matchups, da-da-da-da. Gave him all that props, and 213.64. Meanwhile, Rob Jordan went for 270.16. The Devil Dogs defeated the Gridiron Gladiators, dropped Zach to 2-5. It might be difficult to overcome that in that division at this point, or to stay in wild card contention as other owners have improved at the deadline. Meanwhile, Rob Jordan moved to 4-3. He had Bo Nix give him 42. God, dog. Jahmyr Gibbs 42. Javonte Williams 20. And that was pretty much all she wrote. Jermaine Edmonds went for 25. Excuse me. Jordan Brooks 15.5. Yaya Diaby 17. You trade him away. All right. All right. And then 22 on a sneak from Kamari Lassiter in the defensive flex. Always had a dangerous roster all season. This is one of those moments where enough of the guys click at the same time. You still have Devin Lloyd on the bench, or injured. Who could come back and contribute? Chuba Hubbard, we don't know what that's going to be like with Rico Dowdle. Still worth having on the bench. And Jesse Bates was on the bench for some weird reason. I don't understand that one. Okay. But unnecessary points. Nitpicking at this point. Zach, you had Jaden Daniels 18.74. Amon-Ra 19.6. Pacheco and Scatterboo both double digits. Dalton Schultz went for a surprising 14.3. I think that's his first double-digit point scorer for the season. It is. Rico Dowdle, aforementioned, 10.1 points. Offense did everything they needed to do. I'm guessing your defense let you down, and they did. Brian Burns went for 18. All your DBs went for doubles, and Mekhi Blackman, your defensive flex, went for doubles, but all your single-digit scores were light. 5 or less. 6 or less. And you had a goose egg from Devin Witherspoon. So, it wasn't going to matter this week. You went up against an opponent who went crazy. You needed your defense to go crazy. And that linebacking core that I thought was solid last week is starting to look suspicious in just a week. Just takes one. You got the defensive line. You got the DBs. Now your linebacking core is, Mac Wilson went from like a 20-point performance, 21 points, lowest scoring production of this year, to 6. Cody Barton was 5. I think he bounced back, though. You got Xavier Legette on the bench. I don't think you saw this coming. I mentioned earlier what he did. You can throw him in the lineup now that you know he's going to be a solid flex play. And I think he'll bounce back. Now, you got to win out. You really can only afford to lose one other game. I think the wild card is going to be set at about 8-6 in that 8 seed. So you're going to have to pick it up. You got to put like 3 or 4 wins together over the next month up until Thanksgiving. D-Block, Penitentiary, another loss. All that work for another L. Almost 100 ball. Quincy Bars took the L 295.08 to 201.82 to the Silent Assassins, a.k.a. Harrison Decker. Move Quincy to 1-6, further and further into that fast lane. And Harrison moved to 4-3. I do not like what I'm seeing from Harrison as an owner. As a commissioner, I love it. As an owner, I hate it, especially in the same division. 27 points from Drake May. 18.5 from Charbonnet. Jamar Chase is back. I'm scared. 32 points. 10.5 from DK Metcalf, who is... Oh, did that trade get vetoed? Harrison said it got vetoed. Did it get vetoed? Oh, I guess it did. Well, then kudos to you for holding on to Metcalf. Did Jamar Chase move? I lost track of who moved where, y'all. So you're gonna hold on to both of them. Okay. Chase and Metcalf is gonna be dangerous. With Trey McBride for 24.4. Stephon Diggs, 10.4. Malik Washington, 10.5. Kaden Ellis, 19. Jack Campbell, 17. Everybody got in on this. Derek Brown, 25. Damn. Milton Williams, 12. Jeremy Chin, 22. Grant Delpit, 15. Ashton Davis, 15. Derek Barnes, 15. I mean, damn, bro. Everybody got in on it. This is the type of point distribution that I love to see. When everybody gets their turn. I love that. That's just fun for me to, even just going through the scores, seeing the names. I'm not saying I chalked you up as an easy win on my schedule, but I thought I was going to have a chance to win. Now I'm like, I might have to chalk these up as L's, or I might split with you. I don't like that. I know I need to get like 2 or 3 more wins to secure a playoff spot, whether it's winning the division or not. And I'm trying to find out where I'm going to get those 2 or 3 wins at, because my schedule is tough second half. I do not like it. That's what I'm saying when I don't like what you're doing, sir. I don't like what you've done. Quincy, Ramondre Stevenson gave you 15.8. Baker gave you 12. Quentin Johnston, 10. Drake Thomas, 18. Landon Roberts, good start. Didn't matter. 25.5 points. 20, 12, and 15 from Cam Curl, Marcus Jones, Evan Williams. It's almost over, bro. It's almost over. You bench Shamar James again. Or maybe I mentioned this before tonight. Maybe I mentioned this since you first did it. I might have already mentioned that you benched him, but now I have to look at it again and say that you benched him again. And you started Pat Surtain. Wasn't going to make a difference, but still, it's just those kind of moves. It's like, you got to be in the chat more. You got to be in the chat more to learn and to just figure out how to do it. Seville Smoke Squad, a.k.a. Christian Griffin, the #1 owner in rap. 248.76 victory to 185.54 to the Mahomeless Shelter, a.k.a. Juan Redmond, who fell to 2-5. Appropriate team name. Competing like a mug for that fast lane spot on the road to relegation. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Christian, you had 28.4 from Quinn Sean, 28.3 from JSN, 11 from Ladd, 18.2 from Bajan, 17.5 from Tyrell. All your DBs and defensive flexes went for double digits, and your kicker. Solid score. Juan, you had Patrick Mahomes give you 32.24, 22 from Micah, who you could have got something for, but again, you want to be in the fast lane. Quentin Williams, 13.5. Andrew Wingard, 10.5. 10 from Quan Martin, 14 from Ventrell Miller. So long, farewell, la vida and goodbye. I'll say this about JSN too, since we still got people watching. This is just me thinking. Hindsight being 2020, of course. But I was big on JSN last season. JSN was a big reason why I made my championship run. I did my studies on JSN to trade for him before the deadline last year. I think it was the week of the deadline. I said, you know what? He ain't popped yet. But with how they're working DK, and it seems like they're phasing DK out, and they're not really big on DK. They just drafted JSN. He's in the drafted by the new regime, whereas DK came from the previous regime. Tyler Lockett is an afterthought at this point. At some point, JSN is going to pop. I had to go back and look. I didn't know about his Rose Bowl. I didn't know he had got like 300 yards receiving in the Rose. I didn't know none of that. But watching his highlights, watching his route running style, his ability, doing the research I did, I was like, you know what? Let me go get JSN. And I think I gave away Devontae Adams for JSN. Matter of fact, I can't remember the exact trade, but I gave away something substantial which looked like an L for me on the front end. But I was confident in JSN, and JSN got me to the championship, along with Josh Allen and Saquon. So going into this draft, I was like, damn, I really want to grab him again. I really want to select him in the draft one more time, but I wasn't in the right spot. I'm in the turnaround pick. So I picked pretty close with the first and second round, but then a big gap between the third and the fourth. And I don't know if I want to get him in the first or second round because he has a new quarterback. That's the only reason I didn't select him. Like, okay, I got A.J. Brown, who I was really getting hype on in the offseason. I figured they was going to turn it around and start giving him more opportunities. Brick. And Brian Thomas Jr., who I was like, I don't know if he's going to produce the same with Trevor Lawrence as what he produced with Mac Jones. So far, it looks like I was right. I went against my better judgment and went with Brian Thomas Jr. thinking they will find a way with Liam Cohen to get Brian Thomas Jr. the ball. So far, I've been wrong. What's happened in 2 weeks? And then the other weeks, drops or just not getting the target. Or he's getting the targets, but not good targets. Because Trevor Lawrence is to blame for a lot of the lack of production, too. Not just Brian Thomas Jr. Everybody want to get on Brian Thomas Jr. Watch the games. I digress. So, JSN was in that consideration. I'm like, okay, I could get James Cook in JSN. I could get Josh Jacobs in JSN. Derrick Henry and JSN. I just was not big on Derrick Henry. Something told me that was going to be different. And I kept saying James Cook and JSN, but I'm like, it's too early, and I don't know if Sam is going to be able to put that second year together from his year in Minnesota. So I was scared of investing in JSN with a second round pick at the top of the second round versus an AJ Brown or a Brian Thomas Jr. I was scared. Now look at me. Christian, as a Seahawks fan, is enjoying the fruits of that labor. Got him in the third round. He didn't make it back to me in the third, and the rest is history. Imagine JSN in the slot that Brian Thomas Jr. was in with the rest of my offense. And we talking about trading. That trade with Jordan Addison and Jalen Waddle doesn't happen. I still have Darren Waller would still be hurt, but I would have had my whole offense from my draft. And we would have been putting up the scores that Christian's putting up. That's a big regret in this past draft of mine. I didn't trust my gut. I'm like, JSN should still be able to produce regardless of who throwing him the ball, but it's just too much change. DK gone, Sam Darnold in. I don't know who the OC is. It's just too much uncertainty, and I didn't trust my gut. Lesson learned. The Tribal Chief took the L this week in unexpected fashion. Not because of what his opponent scored, but because of what he did not score. 296.58 to 209.06. Almost 100 ball from Ray Loco's Band of Nice Guys, a.k.a. Jordan Parks. Moves Jordan to 3-4 in the jungle. Drops Tez to 2-5 in the black hole. Ted, you had Aaron Rodgers give you 33.56. Josh Jacobs, 18.3. Rashee Rice, 19.7. T. Higgins, 18.6. 10 from Frankie Louvu. 18 from Cooper DeJean. Savasier Dennis, 24. Jason Myers, 12. I understand a little bit more now why you made the trades you made. A little bit more. Muy pequeño. I do understand. And I think that will transform your outlook for the second half of the season. 2-5, very similar to what I was saying to another owner. I forgot who it was. It's going to be a tough hole to climb out of. Zach. Tough hole to climb out of. But you have the potential. Especially getting to, I think you still got matchups left with division mates, including myself. I ain't looking forward to playing. Jordan. 37.38 from Matthew Stafford. 37.6 from Christian McCaffrey. 32.7 from Jonathan Taylor. 25 from Keenan Allen. 18 from Jake Ferguson. A solid 9 in the flex spot from Tony Pollard. That's all you need. Close to double. Quay Walker gave you 20. He's gone. Alex Singleton gave you 11.5. He's gone. Travis Hunter, your wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville, 24.1. Jalen Petrie, 14. Tatum Bethune, 15.5. That's a great pickup. 12 from Nashawn Wright. All right. And that's with Justin Herbert giving you 38 on the bench, which you did trade away Matthew Stafford and get some additional candy from him. And you traded away Kayshon Boutte for a stone. So, if this was your score pre-trade deadline trades, I am fearful. Honestly, and y'all can be prideful and say, I'm good, I'll fight it, I'll figure it out. Okay, I'm scared of what the scores are going to look like post-trades. Because now there's not going to be a Kendrick Bourne putting up 2.4. There's not going to be a Tutu Atwell putting up 0. Those scores will change. Point blank period. Moving right along. I'll get to the comments later. Last 2 matchups, the Jump Out Boys and the Locks in one of the lowest scoring affairs of the season. CJ, 177.94. Victory over 154.88 from SIP. Not a... this was like Denver and New York in London last week. That's what this game was like. 24 points from Devontae Adams for you, CJ. 18 from Akeem Davis-Gaithers. 11 from Zach Ertz. 14 from Jaquan Brisker. 11 from Brandon Jones. And SIP, 13 from Jordan Love. 13 from Marvin Mims. 11 from Okereke. 13 from Sternad. 17 from DeForest Buckner. 12 from Rashawn Gary. This was an ugly matchup. Sip, he caught you on a bad week. You had Derrick Henry, Kyle Hamilton, Terry McLaurin, and Dre Greenlaw all not playing. And even if you started Dre Greenlaw this week, it wouldn't have made a big difference because he's still coming back from that injury. You had a significant number of pieces missing. CJ could say the same. Deebo Samuels was out. He didn't start TJ Hawkinson. Which that makes more sense why you wanted to trade. Julian Love was out with injury. Matt Milano was out with injury. So y'all similar, but you were missing more significant pieces. Sip, and both of y'all. I mean, this is just ugly. Saquon and Alvin Kamara combined for 10 points. Imagine saying that 5 years ago. Hopefully, Waddle helps you out as that second receiver because Jameson Williams gave you a goose egg. Zach Ertz give you 11-2. I think your offense will look different next week. I do think that. And you so fortunate with this victory that you are still 5-2, second in the Tundra, en route to making your way to the playoffs. I really hope that trade helps you get there. If anybody deserves the ring trade that I often give every season, it's CJ Matthews. He's improved enough and worked hard enough and done it the right way enough to where he deserves a ring trade. He's done it the right way. Nick Bolton only gave you 3. Yeah, this was a bad week. This was a bad week. Well, I mean, the Chiefs destroyed the Raiders so bad, nobody could really get stats on the Chiefs, especially on defense. So yeah, I think you'll do better. SIP, I'm not sure. I think your linebackers will bounce back. They didn't do bad. D-line did good. Your defense was okay. DBs could be better. Running game will immediately improve with Henry getting back in the lineup. And Kyle Hamilton will help the DBs. But that offense is going that offense is going to be the reason you don't make the playoffs. That's going to be the reason. And you traded Terry McLaurin for who? Servassier Dennis? Yeah. You needed offense, man. You needed offense, Sip. You needed offense. You had offense ready to come back from injury, and you traded the offense away for defense when you still needed offense. And now you have no offense. Because Nico Collins, the reason I didn't like the trade offers or the trade requests that you were wanting for Nico is because that Houston offense, we all got to see it Monday night. They've been doing that all season, but now everybody gets to see it on the national stage. That offense looked terrible. And it's been like that all season. Nico's still Nico, but this is the Nico I expected to see last year when everybody was hyper on him from the year before. CJ Stroud's rookie year. I was like, I don't know if Nico is really like that as much as maybe the scheming of him getting open or the fact that teams don't know him and don't know his film. And now we're seeing he's not really one of those dudes who's just going to do it by himself. He needs help. Fair. He's lost a lot of supporting cast talent. Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs. I get it. But like I was telling the owner earlier, the top receivers, them dogs, them guys, they will travel. Regardless of what their situation is, they're going to get their numbers. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, say A.J. Brown, if he got targets. Those guys will get what they need to get regardless of where they are or who they playing with. I never thought Nico was one of those guys, and now that's proven true. And a lot of that is on Stroud. He's not playing well. He's under duress a lot. The offensive line is not protecting him well. And he's just not playing well. I don't know what the reason is. He's just not. Even with that being said, Nico should still be getting his numbers. Nico should still be getting 6-7 catches, 70, 80 yards minimum. And because he's not, and because I got to see that he wasn't on Monday night, I'm like, ain't no way I'm giving you one of my running backs for that. Ain't no way. And a receiver? And a linebacker? No way. You're crazy. Sorry. And with that said, you gave away another receiver who would have gave you a better opportunity than Nico to compete on your offense for defense. So now your offense is left with nothing. I also wanted Nick Chubb, bro. You taxing for Nick Chubb. He put up 3.6 points. I actually wanted Nick Chubb from you. He was not worth much. But you wanted more than much. So, I think you're on your way to last in the division. Well, you are fourth in the division now, but I don't think you climb out of that hole with that offense. And finally, the tailor-made thoroughbreds. A.K.A. Throughbreds, A.K.A. Black Rob, A.K.A. Robert Taylor, or Robert. Got a victory, 248.6 to 188.78 against the Chicago Rock Stars, A.K.A. David Wilson. A compelling, dominant performance. Moves Black Rob to 5-2 and drops the Rock Stars to 2-5. Danny Dimes, a.k.a. Indiana Jones, 26.22 points. DeAndre Swift, 22.3. Devontae Smith, 35.8. Wan'Dale Robinson, 12.5. 18.86 from Chimere DK. Okay. He did something against New England, huh? 4 catches, 70 yards, and a tutty. Best performance this season or his career. That definitely helped you out. Didn't need it, but it helped. Cedric Gray, 17. Montez Sweat 17, Kevin Byard 11, Derwin James 10, Alontae Taylor 12, Mike Jackson 13. I'm gonna just say this about DK as well as Elik Ayomanor. I am confident. I am 100% confident that nobody in any of these leagues has watched an entire Tennessee Titans game. I'm confident in that. Not one of y'all have watched an entire Tennessee Titans game from start to finish this season. I know you haven't. I am quite sure that you have not. I have. I've watched multiple full-length Tennessee Titan games. Right? That's why I like Cedric Gray the way that I do. But I digress. In watching those games in the early portion of the year, I saw the connection. And even in the preseason, I watched preseason games of the Titans. I was trying to see if Cam Ward was what everybody was saying that he was, and that Jackson Dart was not. Because I'm a Jackson Dart guy. I've been that from the spring, before spring, last fall. Over Shador, over Cam, over everybody. I said Jackson Dart's going to be the guy. So I wanted to see what the Cam Ward hype was. And when I watched the preseason games in the early season, I said Elik Ayomanor is his number one target. Not that he's a number one receiver, not that he's the best receiver on the roster. I still think Ridley's the best receiver on the roster. I still do. I think he's on a bad offense. And he has been since he left Atlanta. It's my opinion. Jacksonville to Tennessee, he's been on bad offenses. Bad quarterbacks, bad OCs. Elik was getting all the targets. So I'm like, dang, he really, because a rookie quarterback is trying to find anybody that he can rely on and trust. And it was Elik Ayomanor early. The offense has been bad. So him being your favorite receiver in a bad offense doesn't really amount to much. For me, it was a flex receiver. That was what that formula added up to. Favorite target, bad offense, flex receiver. And that's how I got him. Now it looks like it's shifting. Or like Cam Ward is still trying to figure it out. Especially with Calvin Ridley getting hurt. He shifts to Chimere DK. I don't really know much about Chimere DK. I haven't done research on him. He only got 4 targets. He just caught all 4, 70 yards. So there's a lot still happening in Tennessee that I'm not sure about, but from what I saw, Ayomanor was the guy. Looks like I was wrong. Or it looks like that trust has shifted. Either way. Or both. All that being said, I don't know if that's a reliable flex piece for Black Rob, but the rest of the roster is doing what it needs to do for him. Other than the linebacking core, I wasn't expecting to see that. Christian Ellis, I can say now, in some competition now with Marte Mapu and Jelani Tavai to go with Robert Spillane. Vrabel is still trying to figure that out. We know Vrabel is a Hall of Fame linebacker or caliber linebacker for the Patriots. He's coaching them now. He want to get linebacker right. He already got one that he had to pay for, but he's trying to figure out the other one. And I don't know if it's Christian Ellis. So that with Dion Henley giving you 2 points, that was shaky. And you don't really have no other linebackers. Leo Chenal and Marist Leofile. We got Quincy Williams. He's on IR. That's fair. Your DBs did what they supposed to do. Montez Sweat gave you 17. I think you're in position to make the playoffs. We'll say that. If Swift has a good game, Kyron Williams misses or has a dud. Kyron Williams has a 2-touchdown game on 10 carries for 10 yards. And DeAndre Swift has a MIA game. But you can afford to do that when you cobble together the points from all the different sources. It always looks like it's a different composition of scoring for your team. That's something I've noticed. It's never consistently your running backs do this, your wide receivers do this, your linebackers do this, your DBs do. It's always a different position group or player who contributes to the totality of your 230, 240, 250, which is impressive. You've been able to do that for multiple seasons. I don't know how you did it. And you did this with Josh Allen on the bye week. Brian Branch being suspended. So, kudos to you. That's an impressive win. Dalton Kincaid, hurt. Now, all those guys come back. Yeah, you're in good shape. You're in good shape. D-Will, you are not. As I mentioned earlier, you traded away J.K. Dobbins, Tez Johnson. You're getting Ricky Pearsall, but he's hurt. And you traded away Justin Jefferson. You did get T. Higgins and Jahai Campbell. I think that does help you moderately. We'll see. Let's just put it like that. In the meantime, nobody else on your offense got double digits except Tez Johnson and Justin Jefferson. Troy Franklin, he gave you 11. Will Anderson gave you 24. Your linebackers gave you all singles. That's suspicious with Levante David and Peyton Wilson there. Ashawn Johnson gave you 11. 22 from Quentin Lake. 13.5 from Tylenol Hufanga. And 10 from Kobe Bryant. So, you had a lot of duds this week. That has been the case all year. You are now banking on Kyle Monangai. I will say this. At the halfway point of this season, as you are the defending champion from last season. And I kind of insinuated this last year. I didn't want to rain on your parade or spoil your moment or be a hater. I did not. But I think it's safer to say now. I ain't gonna say concern, but my thoughts last season on your way to the championship was that for D. Will, my thought was that you got very fortunate with the performances from your players and the absence of injuries from your players. You selected well. You didn't have to make many moves, if any. You didn't have to do any trades. And the guys sustained their performances and got better throughout the course of the year. You had some guys that you got back from IR, that you picked up from the wire, that added to what you already had. But the vast majority of your core of your team was from your draft. I thought then, and I wasn't trying to take away from what you did, because you still did it. You still have to do it. However you do it, you still have to win the championship. So I give you the credit for it. But some of me was just like, you got very fortunate. And I say very fortunate as opposed to you did it in a convincing fashion. Like, I know he could replicate this same kind of approach. From the seasons previous to last year and what we see this season now. This is more like you than last year, to me. Last year was like, I caught fire, everything clicked at the right time. I can kind of take my hands off the wheel. Championship. To me. That's my opinion. This season is more like, yeah, this is what we saw from D. Will for most of the previous seasons. Up and down. Fighting to stay afloat. This is, if we look at the years 2023 and prior, this is that. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not trying to hate. This is commissioner hat on, observation. Now, I was in the championship last season, so I had full owner hat on. I tried my best to not do or say nothing, but then he did his live. I had to do mine. But take away those lives, I was trying to be very complimentary. I was trying to be very, applause and all of that. Because it's like, bro, you still got to get to the championship to win it. You still got to win it. And he did that. With that being said, to me, especially looking at this season, along with previous seasons, it looks like that was lucky. Like, you got lucky. You made some great decisions, and then all you had to do was ride the wave. that's not a sustainable thing. Like what I'm saying with Black Rob. Black Rob, although he doesn't have the championship, I can guarantee or count on Black Rob getting 8, 9, 10 wins every season. He is tried and proven. So I can then say, oh, well, he has to know what he's doing in order to get those 8, 9, 10 wins every season. He got to know what he's doing. Otherwise, he couldn't sustain that every year. With some of the craziest lineups and choices that he makes. Doesn't mean he's going to get a championship, but it's sustained success. So, not taking nothing away from the ring, because you still have to win the ring. But in terms of quality owner, when it comes to performance with your roster, season on season, this season kind of takes away from the step that I thought you made last season. And it confirms what my suspicion was. I'm not like gloating on that, but it's just like questionable decisions, including your most recent trade. Not the Jefferson trade, but the J.K. Dobbins trade. Who's your running back now? Who's your running back? Do you have a running back? Just saying. So that's all I got for tonight, y'all. Although that was still 3 hours. If it wasn't for the trade deadline, I probably would have been done right at 9 o'clock. Let's look at the not the definition of complicit, but the standings. The Frozen Tundra, the Rat Kings reign supreme. Currently, CJ and the Jump Out Boys are second, but those bottom 2 owners are very much in contention for the division. All 4 of them are in contention for playoff spots. CJ, I ain't gonna lie, it's a little shaky for you, even after our trade, but you might be able to still skate into the playoffs. You have to figure out some other stuff on your own, hitting that wire, making the right choices of who you start. Still technically in first place in the black hole, and the silent assassin is silently creeping up on my team. I don't like it. Tez also threatening, even at 2-5. If he can get a win on a week where I get a loss, it closes that gap very quickly. Or in a week where Harrison gets a loss, it closes that gap even quicker. America's teams, I want to say it's pretty much sewn up, but Zach, even after a loss, is still only 2 games out of division lead. D. Will, I think with that loss, again, looking at the roster I was just looking at, the offense and the total roster, I don't know if he'll be able to make the push necessary to get into the playoffs. So it's looking like it's a 2-team race in this division, and I mean, Zach can't afford to have another week like he had this past week. Otherwise, it's only going to be Deuce coming out. And the jungle still belongs to Christian at 5-2. Although he is tied with Black Rob, and Black Rob is not going away. Despite not making any trades, as usual, still finding ways week to week to put the right lineup out there to get the wins he needs to get. But there's a guy who leads a band of nice guys in third place who made a significant amount of moves. That makes me think that if one of these 2 owners stumbles at any point in the back half of this regular season, he could take over the division, let alone make the playoffs. He can make it to where he's a top 4 seed. Where's the playoff standings? There we go. And now we'll do this, since we're on the back half of the schedule. I'm the 3rd seed. Okay. First time looking at this. Christian would go up against his, he's the protege, going up against his mentor, or his, I don't know what the word would be, Janine, in a 1-8 matchup, which is kind of a fraudulent 8th seed with her being 4th in the Tundra division. She would be higher if it was if she was in any other division, but that's what I said. All 4 Tundra owners currently are slotted to get in the playoffs. So that would be an unfortunate matchup for her, but her team might start coming around with that offense the way it is. 2-7 matchup, Kevin against Rob Jordan. I think that would be a good matchup. I can't call that one. I think that would be close. I think I would beat CJ in the 3-6 as it currently stands. Can't account for what can happen in the next 2 months. So, just for what I see on paper right now, I think I would and could take that matchup. Deuce against Black Rob, I might give that one to Black Rob. I think that would be worthy of being a 4-5 matchup where both teams are close, record-wise and roster construction-wise. But I don't think it would be a blowout either way. I think it would be a close matchup. I ain't even going to get to the other parts of the bracket because it's still too early. Maybe when we get... Well, I always do that once the playoffs actually start. I'll do that prediction. 3 hours for rap. Aren't you happy about it? I consolidated Green and Ray into a clean hour. Started at 6:20, got done at 7:20. And then I gave y'all 3 hours of rap. Trying to refresh these comments. I still need to get something to eat. And I definitely want to save this video because they're starting to delete it. Let me look at these comments. All right. Victor Sweet, get out, dog. You're not welcome. He cool. We just know he ain't about that fantasy life. That's all. No, I was talking about the Chase trade being... Oh, the Chase trade being vetoed. Okay, gotcha. I'm like, DK, didn't you send DK off? Yeah. Okay, so you kept Chase. Yeah. Dang, Harrison. I tried to give you credit. That trade didn't get vetoed. Thank you, Keys, BTJ. Ain't no MFing, thank you. That man has been ass, drops and all. Nah, he ain't been ass. I want to know what y'all thought about, since we talk about Jamar Chase. When I posted that article in the chat, nobody responded. Don't think I didn't notice that. Where was all that energy for Jamar Chase when he got drafted? And he had all those drops in the preseason and the first couple games of the regular season. We see what Jamar Chase has become. I'm not saying that Brian Thomas Jr. is going to turn into Jamar Chase. What I am saying is they did come out of the same wide receiver factory. And we saw what Brian Thomas Jr. can be last season. He's not in a good space right now. He's not being trusted. He's not being targeted well. He's getting targets, but it's like, oh, over my head, at my feet, into traffic, and he's hurt. He has a hurt wrist. So I don't agree that he's ass. He's been playing like ass, but a lot of that is factors outside his control. But as long as the production matches your opinion, you're going to be right. We can act like he never did what he did last season, or he never was what he was in college. We can act like that all we want, and the production's going to back that up. There will come a day, whether it's this season, next season, or beyond, there will come a day where your opinion of Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be wrong, Deuce. And you know that. Because you know football. You know that it's not going to stay like this for the rest of his career, whether that's a year, 2 years, or 10 more years. It's not going to stay like that. He's too good for your opinion about him to be right. Something's going to shake. And it might mean he got to leave Jacksonville, since they think Travis Hunter is the wide receiver 1. All right. Okay. League high 9 drops. Okay. Man, you is not about to sit up here and tell me some shit about 9 drops and this quarterback not that hot, which he's not. I got something to show y'all about Trevor Lawrence too. Let me see if I can pull that up. What's that called? Has anybody ever heard of the betrayal index? Has anybody ever heard of that betrayal index? And I know you're going to love this one, Deuce, because you have some investment in one of the quarterbacks that they're talking about. Anybody ever heard of the betrayal index? If you have an opportunity, look that up. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. Look it up. The betrayal index is a instrument that was created by The Athletic, a journalistic organization that's affiliated with the New York Times. This instrument that they created measures how much support quarterbacks get from their supporting cast, predominantly their defense, versus how much support they offer to their defense. It creates an index that shows, okay, this quarterback is carrying their team, and this quarterback is getting carried by their team. They're being supported by their team, or they're being betrayed by their team. The betrayal index. All right? Who do you think is the most betrayed quarterback in the NFL? Meaning the least amount of support, predominantly from the defense. Who do y'all think the least supported quarterback in the NFL is? Take a guess. Deuce, you know the answer. You shouldn't even have to think about it. The least supported quarterback from their defense and from their special teams. I'll let y'all think on that when I read the rest of these comments. A Devin Hester prototype is the wide receiver 1 in a mistakenly head coach Leon Cohen system that's looking pretty. We got to use some punctuation, brother. I'm with you. We need punctuation. I'm done with the statement. My next thing, I got to hear your voice telling me these things because I can't believe you type it and said some shit like that on your live. That's why I shook that mug once you made that statement. I fucking digress. Okay, Tiz. Getting off of the gifts and reactions for a second. You know football like me, Deuce, but hearing you say some shit like that, I have a problem with that. Tiz getting tight on that. 9 drops ain't got shit to do with Trevor Lawrence. That is facts. That is facts, dude. Deuce, cold hard facts. 9 drops does not have to do with Trevor Lawrence. Now, maybe 5 drops of those 9 have to do with Trevor Lawrence, but not all 9. Because, again, if you watch the games, Trevor Lawrence is not helping that brother out. I give you that. 9 drops is not on Trevor Lawrence. About half of them is on Trevor Lawrence. Ball placement. BTJ isn't that good. Trevor has looked bad. That's a balanced take, Black Rob. I appreciate the balance there. Look at his numbers with Mac Jones versus Trevor, and you come back and tell me what you think. I don't give, including the targets. I don't care that he got 9 drops. That's part of the rookie wall. I agree. A gadget player is the number 1 wide receiver. I ain't gonna say that Travis. See, the thing with you, Tez, is you take away from Travis Hunter to add to Brian Thomas Jr. That's where we differ. I'm not high on Travis Hunter as an NFL receiver. We see what he can do in spots if the focus is on him getting the ball. I think he benefits more from having a Brian Thomas Jr. or some other true wide receiver 1 on the other side of the field, and that allows him more opportunities to do what he did in college at receiver. But you tell me that Travis Hunter is a true wide receiver 1 by himself, and he has like a Nick Westbrook-Akine or Marquez Valdez-Scantling or some other hyphenated name receiver as his number 2, he's not going to do what he did this past week. Period. He's not that good. Yet, if ever. He's good because he's in a good offense with a good coach, and a good receiver as his number one who takes attention away from him. As many drops as he has, he's still the number one. Now, that's not saying that he's a gadget receiver. That's not saying that he's Devin Hester. I think he's better than Devin Hester at receiver. But he's also not, T.O. There got to be some balance to it. We can argue this shit up and down West Florida to the New Orleans Ferry. You tripping. I can't even click more on that. Oh, that's more. What did you post? What is that, Black Rob? That picture. I can't even see it. The gadget player that just had 12 targets and over 100 yards. They even said they about to start scheming for him to be the number one option on most plays. I ain't making this up and pulling this out my ass. Yeah. Double tight ends, 4 running backs, fun way to play. I'm guessing you're talking about your team. Yes, sir. Fortunate to have you, girl. I'm so glad in my world. Hurts going down in week 2 of playoffs, starting the game, playing 3 snaps, coming off of 300 against. I don't know what the reference is. Yes and no. I have never dealt with these many injuries. Dang, come on now. Click the wrong button. I have never dealt with these many injuries at one time. My drafts were never as good as they have been. Your past drafts were never as good as they have been now, or your draft this year was never as good as it has. I'm just not sure what you mean by that statement. Injuries do make a difference. I'm not taking that away from you. When BTJ gets the Triple Crown, we can revisit. That's a crazy standard, Janine. Come on. The Betrayal Index, Geno Smith. You think Geno Smith has been the most betrayed, Black Rob? Okay. Dak, Janine. Saints or Browns quarterback was going to top about 5 of them. A climbing gift. Damn it, Facebook. I got you. All right, so I see Geno Smith. I see Dak. I see Spencer Rattler. And whoever the Browns quarterback is, Flacco, Dylan Gabriel. The most betrayed quarterback in the NFL so far this season, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is the second-ranked quarterback in the NFL, and he has the 33rd ranked defense and special teams unit. How they come up with that and it's beyond 32 and they get to 33, I don't know how they did it. This is the New York Times. I'm a journalist. I respect the New York Times. The most betrayed quarterback. So what they do is they subtract the quarterbacks ranking themselves from their defense and special teams ranking, and that gives you the betrayal index. Number 2 minus number 33 gets a negative 31. He is the most betrayed quarterback in the NFL. He has the least amount of support from his defense and special teams in the NFL. Guess where Trevor Lawrence is at? Deuce. Because I know you don't watch Jacksonville games, Deuce. I know you don't. I know you ain't watched no Jacksonville game from start to finish. We can talk about what the sources say all day long. Guess where Trevor Lawrence is on this betrayal index? Anybody else want to guess? Because I know Deuce probably dipped out. Anybody guess where Trevor Lawrence is on the betrayal index? So ironic that you brought this up. Trevor Lawrence is last on the betrayal index. You are right, Janine. Top 5 specifically. Trevor Lawrence is the 25th ranked quarterback in the NFL. I'll repeat that one more time for documentation purposes. Trevor Lawrence is the 25th ranked quarterback in the NFL. I'm sorry, Kevin. I didn't know this when I made the trade, obviously, because this is weeks after our trade that I saw this. But I saw it with my eyes because I watched the games. Trevor Lawrence is not playing well. Shocker. But guess what? Trevor Lawrence has the 5th-ranked defense and special teams unit in the NFL. And he has Liam Cohen committing to ATN running the ball. And he finds creative ways to scheme his receivers open. To Deuce's point, Brian Thomas Jr. has dropped many of those schemed plays. He has. And Travis Hunter, as much as you don't like to hear it, Tiz, I think Travis Hunter may have better hands than Brian Thomas Jr. Not saying he's a better receiver, but I think he has better hands. Natural catching of the football hands. Figuring out how to pull it in and catching it with his hands. Not his body. Not his stomach and trapping against his body. Actually using his hands from what I saw in college, which always that's going to translate to the NFL. And Travis Hunter does have that. So he catches his. And Brian Thomas Jr. has dropped a lot of his. But Brian Thomas Jr. has gotten open a lot. This guy has not been hitting him a lot. It's a two-edged sword. And that's why I said I appreciate Black Rob's take. Brian Thomas Jr. hasn't looked good, and Trevor has not played well. They both have been playing bad. And they've gotten a lot of support in Jacksonville from that defense. With Devin Lloyd getting 100-yard pick sixes and all of that. So, we'll see. I'm not going to say he need a triple crown to prove me right or dude's wrong. But let him get more consistent targets. Let him get healthy with the wrist. It might not be this season. Might not know by the end of this season who's right or wrong. But I'll tell you what. Career? We can do that bet. I'll take that bet 10 times out of 10. Brian Thomas Jr. is going to have a better receiver career than Travis Hunter Jr. Travis Hunter needs to be on the defensive side of the ball. You and I both agree on that, Deuce. Regardless of what all the sources say. If they want to commit to Travis Hunter as the one for real, go ahead and get Brian Thomas Jr. out of there. Send him to the Raiders. Send him anywhere. And let him be a true wide receiver one somewhere else. And we'll see who has the better career. I guarantee 100% certainty it's not going to be Travis Hunter between those two. If you want to do that. This season is going to be what it is. He's got a hurt wrist. He's got a case of the drops. They not showing confidence in him. They pull back on their targets to him. Trevor Lawrence is not playing well, which is consistent with his whole career. I don't anticipate a changer. I don't anticipate him all of a sudden being like, you know what? You know, he ain't that kind of receiver. He ain't that kind of player where he just like turn that switch or be that dog. Career though, you tripping. If that's what you're insinuating, because you know Brian Thomas Jr. ain't ass. Period. He might be playing like it, but he's not that. All right, I'm done. Oh shit. Oh, heard the knee pop. Nina pop, y'all. So what? We started at 6:15, 6:20. 4 hours. Oh man, I'm gonna go find something to eat. What did I get last time? White Castle? I might get White Castle again. I be wanting to get Taco Bell, but then I get close to Taco Bell and then I don't be wanting. I like they quesadillas, especially their chicken quesadillas. And I like they cantina chicken tacos. They cantina menu is fire. I like their cantina menu. But White Castle just got a special place in my heart and in my stomach. I think I'm gonna get White Castle. That's what I'm gonna do. Ooh, I need to stretch. Eee. My cheeks tight. I appreciate y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this live. For those who stuck around the whole time, y'all checked in, checked out. I tried to make it as entertaining as I could and fun and funny. None of this stuff is personal. If you think it is, it's not. I don't know y'all that well. I don't care that much. It's all fun. So, outside of fantasy, taking the commissioner hat off, taking the owner hat off. Hope y'all doing well. Hope y'all have a good rest of y'all week. No more trades for the year, thank God. Second half of the season, we're going to start seeing who the real competitive owners are. You can't lean on trades anymore. And, yeah, but beside all that, have a good rest of y'all week. Show love to your family, your friends. Hope work goes well for you, all that good stuff. If you need any, if you have any questions or comments or concerns or doubts or prayer requests or fears or misunderstandings or other things that you want to communicate, shoot me a DM in Discord, or if you are privy, call me or text me. I would prefer you hit me on Discord. That would be my preference. But I'll answer. Hope y'all have a good rest of your night. Holla at y'all later. Peace. I'm in a live chat too.